insanely common beginner drifting mistakes. All right, our first one is overusing the handbrake. We talk about this in a lot of our videos. Avoid it, honestly. Avoid using your handbrake at all costs when you're initially learning. Learn to enter with a clutch kick. Handbrake is a tool, it's not a crutch. You start using that handbrake too early on and you start using it all the time, you're gonna be missing really crucial things such as using inertia to drift, learning how to do a proper clutch kick. A beginner or someone who doesn't drift, you can make your drift look pretty good by overcoming all these things with your handbrake, but it's not proper and it's not going to serve you well. For every exercise, I'm going to show you first the improper way and then the correct way. So we'll just do 1, 2, 1, 2, and you can kind of see the differences, and that should help you when you guys are trying to learn. I'm probably going to enter, and I'm going to enter with the handbrake. It's not going to be necessary on this corner. And then I'm just gonna be ripping the handbrake like all over the place. And you'll see when I do it properly why it's not necessary and it's actually hurting me. Let's get going. So, really not necessary on this track to enter this corner with the handbrake. And as you guys saw, I had to use the handbrake to drag myself. And then again, I had to use the handbrake because I was too tight on that inner clip. And it just ended up for a really slow inside line, not good. On the second round, we did a really nice feint entry, little clutch kick in there. That set us up for a really nice, just sweeping line, was able to let it float after we entered, get back on throttle, hold throttle really nice. I did a little handbrake check on there just to tighten up on that corner. Again, handbrake's the tool, right? We needed that tool for there. It was so unnecessary on the rest of this run. So don't overuse your handbrake, guys. All right, so our next one is white knuckling the steering wheel, holding onto it too hard. I've done all these mistakes, guys, honestly. I probably did them more than most because I really taught myself at the start how to drift and I was just trying to figure it out. You learn to two hands on the steering wheel, keep it tight, you know, go like this, right? Back and forth, all at the corners. We're drifting now. We have to learn to let go of that steering wheel, let it slide through our hands, grab it at the right point and not oversteer it. We really want to be doing fine adjustments and be smooth with it. I'm going to show you guys kind of what would happen when you hold onto the steering wheel. You can probably guess, you're just going to spin out because you have to let the car countersteer. All right, so as you can see, when you white knuckle it, you spin out. And I was doing that over and over again when I was first learning. And then I finally had a local friend, DJ, jump in the car and he was like, hey, let go of that steering wheel, let it float through your hands and catch it. You saw on the second entry, I did just that. I initiated, let go, let it spin, caught it, and then was able to do my steering input. The next one, I'm not gonna do any driving for this one, but I just wanna show you guys kind of what would happen. We'll walk the track a little bit. This is all about not looking down the track. This is where that road racing experience, if you can get a little bit of it, will help you a lot because they talk about all the time, you know, looking at corners that you're not even at yet, you know, 2, 3, 4 corners, whatever it is, looking down the track, not staring at this corner. Where you look is where you go. Let's say we're entering on this corner. Let's say our car's right here, but we want to be over a little bit. We're in car, we're ripping. We should definitely be looking like at that pole over there, kind of past it, preparing for that apex. If we're here and we're looking at that red square right there, we're already almost past this corner and things fly by so fast when you're driving, we're not preparing ourselves for that next corner. Once we get to that corner, we should be preparing and looking at that next S right there. We want to be drifting going through here. If we're down where those 2 cones are past there, we're preparing for our entering pretty soon. We are looking at like this stretch of track here because before we know it, we're already initiating and we're past this corner. If we're like staring down this corner, you name it, it could happen. So you want to really make sure that you're looking and planning ahead for those corners that are coming to you faster than you can imagine. So yeah, just focus on looking ahead, planning, and preparing. Okay, next one is going too slow or too fast. This is all really about speed control. So if you go too slow, you're gonna be on too tight of a line. You're gonna be needing to use handbrake or maybe even not be able to drift at all. If you go way too wide, you're gonna have trouble coming back into like the apex or potentially hit something way out here. We're gonna do probably 3 entries on this. I'll do one where we just go way too slow and you'll see what happens. And then we'll do one where we go way too fast. I'm not gonna go like way too fast because we'll go flying into the desert. And then we'll do like the proper speed for this car in this corner. Let's do it. On that first run, way too slow, really, for any car, unless you're on ice skates. We entered and we didn't have enough speed, so it didn't float. It pitched us right super tight onto this first corner, set us up for a horrible run. Then on the next one, we were freaking flying. I probably could have recovered it, but I wanted to show you guys like what was gonna happen when you go too fast. There's just way too much speed. I would have really needed to like slam on the brakes, get on a handbrake, all that, and honestly, I did slam on the brakes pretty good at the end there and almost went off track. So that's overcooking it. And then on the third lap, that was more proper speed. Obviously, you can vary from that. You can go a little slower, a little faster, but it set us up for a good line. We didn't have to use any handbrake around this entire corner. It set us up really nice for those following corners, and that's really it. So watch your speed. You can go too slow, you can go too fast. Find that sweet spot. All right, this is one I don't want to show you guys because it means totaling your car potentially or hurting yourself or others. But going too hard too soon. I learned this early on and I learned it from other people making mistakes and telling me about it. So fortunately, no, you know what? I have done it. I know I have, because we were doing Pro-Am with the Genesis, and I had forgotten to bed the brakes, and I really needed to take it easy and bed in the new pads and rotors, and I just went too hard too soon. So I take back everything I just said. I went in to chase one of my friends, George, and came up on his door and no brakes. I went flying off track. I destroyed my front control arm. Same thing can happen to you guys. I was lucky I didn't total the car. If it's a new track or a track I haven't been to for a while, I actually like to road race the first lap or two. Get the handbrake warmed up, get the brakes warmed up, tires warmed up. Just kind of remember the track, learn the track if you haven't been there before, and then slowly progress. Do like a midline, right? Don't go too tight, don't go too far out, and just kind of learn the flow of the track, and then you can start kind of progressively going harder and harder, and then that'll set you up for jamming out all day because you've learned the track and you won't make the mistake of crashing your car. Driving outside your ability. We all want to progress. We all want to look badass, do the sick drift, get the awesome photos from our local photographers, all of that. I totally get it. Impress our girlfriend, our boyfriend, whatever it is, but really, stay within your ability, stretch your ability, let's say. Drive within your ability, guys. Like, we're all learning. There's things that I still can't do and I'm still learning. There's things that Von Gittin and Forsberg can't do and they're still learning. On every level, we're all learning. If you're just learning, just keep it easy, guys. Do some of our simple exercises like we talked about, doing the donuts, figure eights, the ovals, things like that, and learn. Don't just try to go super hard on your first couple of days of learning. That's not the way to do it. You're gonna crash, you're gonna hurt yourself. And you're gonna miss these important techniques that you would learn if you kind of went through all the steps and learned everything properly. Here's a perfect example. If you can't fate entry this corner like a savage, like full throttle, third or fourth gear, freaking whip it this way and whip it that way and stay on throttle, no handbrake, you're not ready to do a reverse entry for a reverse entry. So learn that technique first, and then you can do a reverse entry. So that's kind of what we're talking about. All right, the next one is not maintaining speed through the course during cooldowns. As we talked a little bit earlier, it's usually a set course. When you're going through that, you should be going like 85%. And it's really a time to process kind of what you did, as well as let the car cool down. Not only are you holding people off that are faster or just drivers that are doing what they should be doing and maintaining a proper speed throughout the track, you're not letting your car cool down. Cars need airflow. I would say at least like 40 miles per hour, 30, 40 miles per hour. So wind's flowing on it. If you're going, I've seen people literally dump down to like 10 or 15 miles per hour. Suddenly they think they're on like a Sunday drive. They're like freaking Ice Cube, just like rolling down Melrose. No, Focus on some road racing if you want. I mean, I've never really heard anyone complain about going like too fast. I mean, if you're driving like a maniac, that's one thing, but keep a good pace. That's really what it is. You won't jam up people behind you. You'll keep a good flow on the track and you keep your car cool. Throttle control. It's really about learning how to do it smoother, the right timing, all that. But it is something you should really focus on. Throttle is really important. You can use the throttle to steer the car. So we're gonna do probably 2 entries and just kind of do this corner again. And I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. The other thing is, it sounds so much better. When you're all crazy with the throttle and it's like low RPM, high RPM, and it's like boom, 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 like it just doesn't sound as it should. When you whip it and you get on throttle and you're consistent, and it's just, I don't know, it just sounds so good. That was maybe almost exaggerated on the throttle control on the first entry, but I've done that. I've done that where I was just so inconsistent with it and I mashed it and then I was way off, where it actually led me to just completely spin out. On the next one, I was smooth with it. I waited to get on throttle. It was floating really well. It's really, really slick today, and we're on 5-year-old tires. We're just trying to get rid of these. So it floated longer than I would have wanted it. But because I was paying attention and I was focusing on that throttle control, I was able to wait, get on throttle, and still have a pretty decent run. Drifting too much of the course when you're learning. I would really focus on just like 1 or 2 corners. Get those down, get them fluid, get them really proper, and then start adding on the rest of those corners. It really varies on track, so I shouldn't even say it, but on this course, don't worry about drifting every corner. I know it can be really fun, and it's fun to jam out like that and do that, but what happens is, especially at like that beginner and like beginner intermediate level, if you're messing up these initial corners and then you go on to drift all these other corners, you already forget the mistakes you made on those initial corners. So when you get back in line and you're kind of processing your run, which if you're not, you should be doing this. After you're done with your run, you should sit in your car while you're waiting for the next run and process what you did. Think about where you went wrong, what you did right, and then try to improve and fix that on the next run. If you're a beginner driver, you should still maintain a good pace throughout the track, but there's nothing wrong with just doing a couple corners, really. I want you guys to know that. You're gonna look way cooler if you're drifting 1 corner properly than drifting the whole course, So I shouldn't say that. Drifting the whole course, improperly. All right, steering with one hand and just resting the other hand on your handbrake or your shifter or on your door sill or texting, or I don't even know. Just 2 hands on the steering wheels, guys. Let it flow through. When you need to shift your handbrake, then remove that hand, whichever one it is, and do that action, and then bring it back to the steering wheel. So we're gonna do 2 entries again. I don't think my drifting will necessarily look all that different, but it will for you guys, and it will when you're learning especially. You wanna focus on keeping 2 hands on the steering wheel, only removing it to do another action. So I've seen some guys where they're like driving down the straight and their hand is on the handbrake ready to go and they're one-handing it. That's so bad. Really keep both hands on there. When it's time to handbrake, put your hand over and pull it. There's no reason to rest it on there. As well as shifting, if you're preparing for a shift, letting it rest there and then shifting. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. When it's time to shift, bring it over, shift, complete it, put your hand back on. When I started, I did this too, so I'm not harping on you guys, but it's just something to focus on, something to think about as you're trying to excel and trying to learn. So let's kind of show you guys what that looks like. I'm gonna make it a little outrageous. I went a little ridiculous with the first one, but truly, like, I see guys do it where they're just handbrake all the way down the straight, getting ready for it. But if you saw what happened is, now I had to, because I needed more leverage when I was in turn, I was like steering up here. And this is just so bad. Not only it looks bad, but your steering tires, they're moving way all over the place, not like they should, not smooth. It's just so improper. And then if you saw on the second run, we, we're on steering wheel the whole time. We actually didn't use handbrake to enter, but we let it, flow through our hands, got back on. When we handbraked there, I waited, and stayed with two hands on it, with steering smoothly, and just took it off just a handbrake and right back on. Really, actually, for a lot of these things that we're doing, run a GoPro inside your car so you can see what you're doing and review that footage, after the day's over. You'll catch yourself doing some of these things. That's kind of how I've learned, and it should help you guys out as well. All right, guys, well, that is insanely common drifting mistakes. I hope this really helped you guys. Please, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any more questions, drop them below. Let us know what else you want to see, what other techniques you want us to go over. Anything's free game. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that subscription button and turn on notifications. It really helps us as creators. And yeah, we love you. Thank you for watching. See you guys soon.